This week on the podcast, Carrie sharing her adventures from a recent social media event in Walt Disney World. And she got to ride Guardians of the Galaxy. Find out what she thought about it, spoiler free of course. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us. But it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Well, hello, pal. How are you?
Hello, pal. Long time no see. Spoiler, I saw you yesterday in person.
Yes, and that was so, I was so excited to see you in person, even though, we couldn't hug and we did sit 6 feet apart. Outside. I was fine with the temperature, but Carrie was a little chilly. But it was nice to see you in person.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Well, I was thinking about it after you left, and I'm thinking, how long has it been since I saw you in person? When we got home from our trip in December?
I think so.
So 5 months ago?
Yeah, when we went to Destination D, right?
Yeah, that must be it. Crazy. Yeah. And how many trips have you had since then?
I've lost count.
Yeah, you've had quite a few little adventures without me there, Missy.
I know.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I've been really excited to see and follow along, and you're a very good virtual shopper.
Well,
It's, we've got that down to a science now, I think, where you video chat with me and then you take me through the store and show me things. And you know the stuff that I'll like, so you go straight for it, which is fantastic.
It's all good. It's easy. It's easy to do. I think I know your shopping habits, as you probably know mine.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So this week we were going to talk about your most recent trip. Because you're really fresh off the plane.
Fresh off the boat. I'm off the plane. Off the planes, trains, and automobiles, yes.
Yes.
I was at Walt Disney World.
You did not go to Disneyland.
No. Sad, but no.
I know. It's funny because I've had
hear
people
the
reach
Main
out.
Street Electrical Parade calling me.
I've had people reach out and be like, I do enjoy when you guys talk about Disneyland. I'm like, oh, don't tell Carrie. We'll never stop.
Yeah.
But this time you went to Walt Disney World.
Yes, I did. Just a little jaunt. Just a little short trip.
You added a couple days to it. It was a good. Okay, so let's tell everybody why you were there.
To go to Walt Disney World.
Why Carrie chose to go to Walt Disney World?
Yeah, I was there for an event. So with Pure Magic Vacations, I got to go to a social media event, and the main purpose really was to ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Woohoo! It's so exciting.
That was the purpose, I believe, to bring everybody
of
down
the whole
there.
trip. Mm-hmm. But okay, so first you flew down. You flew down early ahead of the event, right?
Yeah, because this weekend is our Victoria Day weekend, and the flights were kind of pricey, and we didn't. I didn't have that much notice about the event, enough, but it's not like it was, we knew months ago. So,
flights were expensive.
Flying out of Toronto right now is kind of crazy. The lines, people are going 4, 5, 6 hours early. Landing in Toronto since after COVID has been crazy because they hold you on the plane to watch the numbers or to the flow of people going through customs, because there's, it's only one ginormous room jam-packed with people. So they hold people off on the plane. So getting off the plane in Toronto usually is quite an ordeal. They sit you sit on the plane for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And so getting home is a little bit crazy. So a little bit of that and not having to do a test if I drive over the border and fly out of Buffalo, because we still have to do a test to enter the United States one day before. So because this was an event, and the testing has been the main stress so far.
Carrie's big stress of every trip is about doing the test. So you don't have to test to drive across?
Yeah, so we don't have to test to drive across, and then we're doing a domestic flight. So it was a little bit of like, Toronto's crazy. The prices were a little bit more. And then the testing was really the big part, because if they would have said no testing between when I booked my airfare and travel, I probably would have still booked a flight. You would have
done Toronto, even with like the craziness. It is insane. I've seen some of the videos. Yeah. People are getting there 5 hours before their flight and still cutting it close and or at risk of missing them.
Yeah, and I haven't flown out of Buffalo in a long time, and the flight down it just reminds you why it is so awesome. Like, if you have the time.
I've never flown out of Buffalo.
It's such a tiny little airport. It's like, you pull into the parking lot. It costs $10 a day to park in the long-term parking lot. And when
it costs $10 to park in the long-term parking lot? A day?
$10 a day, yeah.
Wow, that's not bad.
And then when you pull in, like, no joke, like, and we were an early morning flight, and you'd think the airport would be a heck of a lot busier too early morning, but we pull in, and like the shuttle buses that bring you from your car, like, they follow you. Like, they just follow you as you drive, and then like they sit and wait.
Until you park your car?
Until you park. And then like, so I parked my car and I got into the shuttle, and then I was about to leave, and I was like, I didn't have my cell phone, and it actually fell between like this. My jacket doesn't have the best pockets. It actually fell out of my pocket in between my seat. And like, I seriously said to the guy, I got to go back and check for my phone. He's like, don't worry, I'll circle back. That's exactly what he did. I was at my car for like 30 seconds. He does a loop around. He comes in and waits for me and jump in like, it's just unbelievable. So usually you can get from your car to gate in mere minutes, which is pretty awesome.
I feel like I have to experience it once, but my issue is always the drive home at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a different part of my story. That this time was a little crazy. But you have to just give yourself time. Like, we don't live at a city beside the border, and I think a lot of our friends that do, they always fly to Buffalo because it's only a quick, 30-minute drive from their house to get to the border or whatever. So it's something they regularly do. Like, flying out of Toronto sounds horrific to them because, they can easily just hop across the border. But if we can, if you can do it if you have the time to do it, then it's perfect. That's what I always tell people. Like, if you live where we live, you might not want to do it in a rush. But if you actually can work the time into getting there, like going the night before, really you only need to be at the airport like an hour and a half before, because it's a domestic flight. Like, you don't have to get up. Just the time you save and not having to get up and get to the Toronto airport or whatever. Anyways, it was a wonderful experience. I flew with JetBlue. They have Wi-Fi, like free Wi-Fi from gate to gate. That's
insane.
Excellent.
And then what happens when you land in Orlando? Because you come into a different part of the airport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the same.
Don't you have to do customs or what? Oh, gosh,
no, I did customs
because you did them crossing the border.
And then this time, because the one thing about this going across the border as well. So I did go the night before. I actually ended up going the day before. I worked half the day, and then I went to. I just jumped in my car and I crossed the border.
Why did you go so early, Carrie? Because you weren't trying to get to the hotel early. You were trying to.
I needed to do some shopping. Oh my goodness! Probably one of my most favorite parts of this trip. Cosmic Rewind, absolutely top tier, number one awesome thing about this trip. Number two on this trip was my reunion with Hobby Lobby. Like, honest to goodness, like I never knew that there was a spot in my heart that was empty for Hobby Lobby. And there was. Like, I've
never been to a Hobby Lobby.
Oh, you'll go soon.
What is it? It's just like crafts, or
I will go soon. It's crafts and it's home goods and lots of crafts, art supplies.
Is it kind of like an arts and crafts Winners kind of thing?
I guess you could say that. It kind of has the home stuff that you would see in Michael's or Winners, like kitchenwares and whatever. It's a ginormous store, and it's amazing. And I like was in there like walking up most of the aisles, like just like smiling. I was so happy, and I never knew that was missing from my life as much as it was. Like a part of me is back.
Yeah,
that I didn't know was missing.
You feel whole again.
I do feel whole again. Like I could have spent the whole day there. I could have like been told, the Disney trip's canceled. You got to go home, and I would have been like, "That's all right. I'm just going to spend a couple more hours in Hobby Lobby, and I'll just get back in my car and I'll go home."
Yes, you did send me a picture of your trunk with your stuff in it.
Yeah, so Hobby Lobby, I went to a Joann's, and I went to a Big Lots. Those are my 3 stops. I stayed at a Marriott just near the Buffalo Airport, and right beside it is like I could have walked to the Hobby Lobby. It was so close. It was glorious. I've
never been to any of those 3 stores.
Yeah,
I've
so
never been to a
Dayton,
Joann's,
I'll make sure that
Hobby
you
Lobby.
Go to one of them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the Joann's you won't really like. You probably won't like the Hobby Lobby either. You probably won't like any of them, but that's all right.
but that's all right. You're still going to make me go. At least you'll have a little bit
of context when I talk about them in the future.
Yes, and then I'll get to see the happy, this is, I'm in my glory Carrie. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Hobby Lobby was like, there were so many things, like, because I usually go in for like paper making, like paper supplies, paper crafting stuff. Or whatever, and like so much of it was on sale too. It was like, it was glorious. It was like the perfect timing. Joann's not so much, but Joann's was still nice to go into. But yeah, when you hit those stores, when the things that you usually buy are on sale too, it's like,
it's awesome.
Bellissimo, perfect. It was wonderful. Anyway, so that was really the one of the highlights of this trip. Like I said, it's in the top 3.
Awesome.
For surezies. So yeah.
So
anyways,
so you arrive in Orlando. You did not go first to Disney property.
No, because at Disney I was only staying a couple nights, and I wanted to get there a day earlier at least. So I decided to go 2 nights, I believe. 2 nights earlier. I went on Tuesday. Mm. I crossed the border on Monday, and I was home by Saturday night. Sunday morning.
Yes.
Whatever. But anyways, so...
you stayed at a Marriott.
Always.
Carrie and her Marriott.
So I stayed at the Orlando World Marriott, which has been on my Marriott bucket list forever. Forever. Because
it looked like beautiful.
It's like years ago... My boss stayed at the Orlando Marriott for a conference, and it was back then. I don't know if it is anymore, but back then it was like the largest Marriott on the planet, and I've always wanted to stay there, so it's been on my bucket list. So I figured, what the heck? There's lots of other Marriotts to choose from, but I thought I'll give this one a try. It's a ginormous resort, like it's humongous. It's got like a little water park. It's got a beautiful pool area. It's got lots of convention space, lots of restaurants, very comfortable, very nice, very nice. So
you could go and stay a few days there and be very happy there.
It would be a great place for a family. Like it is definitely conference feel. So if you were going to a conference and you had the opportunity to bring your family. It's definitely, there's so much. Good. Yeah, it would be so good because they've got the shuttle to Disney, and they have the water park, the little water park, and it's just, they've got all kinds of stuff, like a humongous arcade. They've got lots of stuff for families, and the pool area is huge. Like they have games, they have different games that the staff play with people. Like that's nice. All, like there's lots of green space or whatever. So that's what that's what I kept thinking, like, this would be perfect for if you were to bring your family to your conference. I know most people probably don't want to bring their family to a conference, but it definitely has that conference vibe, like at nighttime, like everybody's, hanging out in the lobby at all the bars and restaurants and whatever. So it definitely has that vibe. So, but yeah, it was really nice. So I was glad. I'd probably stay there, like, if you wanted to have a couple of chill days and relax. The pool was great. It was noisy. Like, they definitely, but really, so are the Disney pools sometimes. Like, of course, there was a pool party every single afternoon, and they have, like, a laser
Yeah, you sent me this video of this so laser weird. Show, and it was so bizarre. It was like, is this their version of like a nighttime spectacular around the pool? It was,
yeah, I guess
it was almost like a Vegas kind of feel to it.
Yeah, for sure. Like they have a DJ, and the DJ was playing music, and there was lasers going everywhere, and like people are just kind of wrapped up in towels on the pool loungers watching and whatever. There wasn't really a party going on. But yeah, that was kind of weird. So, but the one thing with this hotel too, like if you were on, like I was on that side, I was on a low floor. I was just on the second floor. So I had like the beautiful vista of all of the resort really, and the pool and the palm trees and all that stuff. But if you were higher up on that side, like you would see all of the Disney fireworks. Like there'd be great views from the rooms up higher. So good for that as well. So yeah, I liked staying there, and I would go and stay like if we wanted to just chill by the pool or have a comfortable, relaxing stay somewhere.
Yeah, try something different. Mm-hmm. Maybe on an extended trip.
Sure. Yeah. You're not staying there ever.
Well, I'm just thinking like the conference feel and all that. I would stay at Coronado again. I would stay in the tower again. It has the conference feel. It has a pool. Has restaurants. Anyway,
it's just not a Marriott.
Yeah, it's not Carrie and her Marriotts. Although I gotta be honest, I don't think I've stayed in a Marriott I couldn't tell you how long. So, maybe I did on that work conference. But anyway, I need to stay in one just to see what the fuss is. Oh, I'm staying in one with you. When we go to... that's not a Marriott, is it?
They're Marriott brands, but to stay at like a Marriott or a JW is the experience that's pretty awesome. The beds are comfy all across the board, but...
Okay,
but, you need the JW experience.
In the JW experience. So, oh Lord. So you stayed at the Marriott for a couple days, chilled.
I went to the outlet. I went to Disney Springs one night, but I worked during the day pretty much because I didn't want to take vacation days.
It's, working from there is, it barely feels like working because at least you can sign off and be in a park or be at Disney Springs within like pretty quick after you sign off work. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it was like the one thing which I knew, of course, I've been many times at this time of year and in the summertime, is that it's hot as heck. Like so like even like in my Marriott room, it was a great setup for working. Like I couldn't even keep the door, like the sliding door open.
Yeah.
Because it was so stinking hot. So then I'm sitting in like a room, like freezing with the air conditioning on because there's really no happy, medium. I'm either going to be, warm or freezing. So I pretty much sat in a cold room all day, and then I would just go out on the balcony to warm up a little bit or go for a little walk or whatever. But yeah, that's my Marriott experience, and it was wonderful. So, everything that I expected it to be. My Orlando World Marriott, check it off the bucket list.
Excellent. I'm glad you got to do that, and I will attempt a Marriott at some point. But Carrie, so you leave the Marriott and you go to the event. So you're going to the event for Pure Magic Vacations.
Yeah.
And where are you staying?
So we're just at Port Orleans Riverside for a couple of nights. That's where we went to, which was nice. I haven't stayed there. Like I know I've stayed at French Quarter. Like I think I've stayed there before.
Oh, you're not sure if you stayed at Riverside before?
I couldn't remember. I must have.
You must have.
But I was in the Magnolia Bend area.
Oh, I love that area.
Like if I was there, I hadn't stayed in those. I definitely hadn't stayed on that side before. So that was nice.
Nice. And the rooms there, they're all redone. They don't have the carpets or anything anymore. Like
I think the Magnolia Bend rooms have they had carpet under the bed, but then like the walkway, the breezeway from the door to the back of the room was. Is
that what they call it? A breezeway?
I don't know. That's what I'm calling it. No, it's not a breezeway. But I think
is that what they call it?
I think a breezeway would be a much more grand space. The little walkway. The
little walkway, like at the end of the beds, to go to like the sink and stuff.
Yeah, I think that was whatever that floor that they put down now. But it was nice. It was very comfortable. It was the perfect experience, like at Disney, which we've all had, is like when you don't know where the heck your room is. So like, you walk up the stairs and like I'm on the second floor and like I do the complete like maze, you know, turn this way, turn left, turn right, turn left again, turn left. Can I turn right after turn left, turn right to whatever? And so like I'm wheeling my bag and wheeling it like all around the perimeter of this Magnolia Bend building, and then I'm in my room finally, and then I'm, you know, leaving the room after I'm in there just for a couple minutes, and then like I turn around the corner and like I can there's a breezeway right there. There's a breezeway that can bring me right through to the front steps. And I was like, gosh. Honest to goodness, like I just walked for 5 minutes around the entire Magnolia Bend building to get to building 85 to get all the way over there, and then whoop. So I'm glad I put 2 and 2 together and figured that one out quickly. And didn't walk back the way that I came.
Get you. Yep, I did the same thing at Pop Century once, and I was like, I don't know why I can't find my room, and I walked in circles and circles and circles, and then once you find it, you're like, oh, if I had just gone this way, it would have been right here.
Yeah, like I was pretty much like 15 seconds from the front of the building to get to the river versus like the 5-minute walk I took. Honest to goodness, but you kind of laugh because if you haven't done that at a Disney resort, then yeah, you haven't it's
been.
It's going to happen. You haven't been. Yeah, maybe you haven't been. You haven't stayed at a Disney Value or moderate.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happens. Even at Coronado, it's kind of similar too.
Yeah, any of those outside buildings, like, and some of them, like they seem to be in like you think it's just one building, but then when you're up there and you're walking, you're like, is there more than one building connected here? Like you don't know which way. I
feel like the Grand Floridian's similar too. If you don't know when you're in the outer building and you don't know where your outer building is. Yeah. Anyway, so you finally found your room, which is excellent.
I finally found my room, and then I got out of the room quickly. So yeah, the room was nice. It was the Port Orleans experience was nice. Like I took a bit of time to like walk around and take some pictures and just to really, you know, we're up early in the morning and home late, so it's a little bit quieter. And even I was there, I think, in the middle of the day, the one day, and it was just so nice to see everyone's at the park. So it's just a nice experience. Like the pool's not too crazy, you know, everyone's just kind of moseying around, walking, enjoying themselves there. Like, you know, the way the resort's supposed to look.
Yes.
Not, you know, when it's so crazy. But that was a good experience.
People don't realize when you go on these events, it really is full days. Like you're up really early in the morning and sometimes you're not getting back to your room until late at night.
Yeah. And in this case, we had to report in the lobby for 6:30 in the morning. So
that's dressed, ready to go in the lobby at 6:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. Because they had us, and then it takes time, right? Like we're in the lobby, then they got to get us on the bus, and we were like waiting outside to get into Epcot. Like there's a couple bus loads full of people, so it takes some time. So a little bit of standing around or whatever.
And yeah,
but
so they load you up on the buses.
Yeah,
they take you to Epcot.
We went to Epcot. They gave us a cool hat and a fanny pack, and they let us go. They let us go on the ride. It was.
Okay, so she just jumps straight to that. So they let us go on the ride. So was Epcot open when you arrived, or was it just before it opened?
Yeah, it was before. Well, yeah. By the time we got in, it was probably open.
Okay.
Because really, yeah, like it takes we stood outside a while. It takes a lot to like get everybody together. They checked our credentials, gave us our thingy gifts, and we had to go stand in line to get in with our magic bands and. That took quite a bit of time. But yeah, by the time we were through the ride, for sure, I think the park was
open.
But the park was open, so.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. So if anybody doesn't want to hear anything about it, you're going to want to fast forward a bit.
I'm not going to do.
You're not going to do like total spoilers. I just want to tell people what it's sort of like. I have had people reach out that when I shared that you were there and that you had been on it, they're like, how did Carrie do? Because we all know how you are, how I am on rides, and, you know, people want to know, so you loved it. You loved it first. Like, let's get that out of the way. You said it was awesome.
It's amazing. It's an amazing attraction. Absolutely.
Okay.
For sure.
Did you feel sick?
So I don't like if people that you can plug yours right now if you don't want to hear this little tiny tidbit, but what the ride, like, it's a roller coaster. It's an inside roller coaster. And the best way, my friend had kind of summarized it, my friends that had been on it before, they were giving me little snippets because I was concerned about feeling sick and worried that it was going to be my first and only trip on this ride, like first and only time. But that it really is like, imagine, like, Space Mountain was made like 47 years ago, right? Or it opened all those years ago. So say 50 years ago, Space Mountain was created and thought of and built. This ride is 50 years later of technology. So it's that same type of experience. So it's not the same experience. Like, Space Mountain is Space Mountain and this is something totally different.
Right.
But like, if you think about the evolution of how something that started that was amazing with Space Mountain is able to change all these years later with the technology, the ride technology, the visual technology, like everything that they do now in rides, like, to me, that's what it is. It's like a different like, all these years later, if that technology existed back then, that's what Space Mountain would be. It's the same sort of type of attraction
but it's smooth, obviously. But when you say roller coaster, is it rock and roller coaster?
No, I wouldn't even say that it's even. No, absolutely not. Like, it is not roller coaster like any of those rides. Like,
Thunder
I would
Mountain?
almost even say it's different. Like, it's a roller coaster in that it's on a track, and it does move very, very quick. It's very, very smooth. But I don't even know that I would say it would be like as crazy as maybe Space Mountain. Like, it's probably, but it's just different. Like, that's all I can say. So not
drops where, it's not like 17 drops where my stomach's going to be in my throat.
It's just very fast moving and
fast
slow.
moving.
And I only went on it once. So like, I can't say that I don't remember it exactly to be able to say that there was, I'm not going to say there was none of this or none of that, because there could have been 10 of them for all that I know. But it just moves very quick. It's very, very smooth, like unbelievably smooth. And like I said, to me, it's like, it really is, it really does embody like what Space Mountain would be 50 years later if they were to redo the ride. Did it. Like, that's what it is to me. And it's awesome. Now,
so is there any like 3D simulation stuff? None of that.
You don't wear 3D glasses.
Okay.
But there's lots of screens. There's lots of screens, but
it's not like Star Tours screens where you would feel sick 30 seconds in.
Well, that, like, things, you're moving so quickly, you probably can't focus on it. So I didn't feel sick like I would feel on Star Tours because of the screens and everything. I felt the way that I felt when I go on Space Mountain. Like, I didn't feel yucky, like 3D motion simulator yucky. I felt a little uneasy in, like, between my stomach and my throat. Like, I'm not going to get sick. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to get sick, but just when I'm on, like, more like if I was on Space Mountain or if I was on Mission Breakout Guardians, like the up and down, like, I kind of felt that way, the way I might not feel 100% during the ride. But I did not feel... Like almost
motion sickness instead of the visual stuff.
Yeah, and it wasn't like, I felt fine the minute I walked off of it. Like, it didn't stick with me.
Okay,
but when I was on it, like, I could... Like, and I was trying to just have lots of fun and, like, yell and scream and enjoy it in the moment. But I still did feel a little bit, even though I was trying to, like, not think about it. But yeah, that's, for me, it was that level of icky feeling, like a little, right. But I've been steering clear of it. I guess I could probably, watch some things now that I've been on it. But people have been saying it's making people sick. But like, I could see, like, it does have it does have screens in places, and it's fast moving. And
was it long?
It was
like, did you get off it and be like, well, that was fast?
No, I thought it was perfect. I don't think it was, it didn't feel too short. I think it felt just right.
Okay. It didn't feel like it was like forever and you were like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get off.
No, it's a really great ride. And I think people that love roller coasters, will not be disappointed. I think if they love roller coasters, I think they'll be impressed with how, like, and I don't go on any new roller coasters. I just go on Disney roller coasters. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I would think that if you loved roller coasters and you go on all kinds of roller coasters, like the way that this thing moves and how smooth it is, and it's, I'm assuming it's a little different than other roller coasters. Like I said, I don't want to give away, and like I don't want to say any more to explain what the experience is, because that's the part of it, right? Like not knowing.
Yes, for sure.
What's going to happen. So,
but is it one of those, so if we think about it, it's new, so obviously you're going to go on it again and again, like the next few times you go with new people when they want to go on it. But do you think this will become something that you do every time? Or will it be more like Tower of Terror where you like it, and if you're with someone who wants to go on it, you'll do it, but not necessarily, like it's not right up there on your let me do it? Or will this be a must do for you?
No, it's definitely not it won't be a must do for me, just because that's not how I really do the parks. Like I would go on it when I was with somebody that wanted to go on it, right? Like
right. Okay. So you'll come on it with me when I go. Yeah,
but I totally can respect how amazing it is. Like that's how I feel about Tower of Terror. Like that ride is fantastic. Like it makes me
absolutely
feel
amazing,
funny, and it scares the crap out of me, but I still think it is one of the best rides that Disney's probably ever made. So, I think I can feel that way about. I think I could feel that way about this.
You can appreciate the ride, the design, everything about it, but still not want to go on it every single time or every day. I get it.
Like I know I've said this before, like the Tower of Terror, the first time I rode that ride, I didn't want to go on it again, but like, it's all about how you experience it that first time. Like you really, like when I say I think it's one of the best ones, is because you really feel terror, and you really feel you feel surprise. You feel, if you knew nothing about it, you like all of the elements that need to be in that ride to make it amazing are there. Right. Yes. So nowadays there's so many spoilers, right? Like if you want to know everything about this ride, like you can before you go on it, you can
experience it basically virtually before you go on it. I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad there were no spoilers, and I'm glad you managed to get on it and experience it without any spoilers.
Yeah, I didn't take a Gravol. I might take a Gravol next time.
Yeah, for new attractions and stuff like that, I usually do that. I usually will just take a Gravol and try to ride it first thing in the morning before I've eaten anything.
Like for me, for a roller coaster too, like I'm not too afraid of, like I wasn't feeling anxious about it. Like I always worry, like I hope it doesn't make me feel sick so I could go on it over and over again, or at least in future trips or whatever. But I think roller coasters are a roller coaster. Like if they're only a couple minutes, I'm not up and down dropping. I'm not worried about feeling motions. Yeah, it's not 3D motion simulator, so I don't have to worry about it. So I wasn't really feeling anxious about it, but I still always have that worry that I hope I like it enough that I want to ride it again. So
excellent. Oh, I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited to get there and experience this. It's pretty cool. Well, thank you for no spoilers, but for reassuring that it's a ride my stomach can handle.
Yeah, I think so. I think you'll love it. Like, and I think younger fan that used to ride Space Mountain, 10 times in a row, like you would. It's just the people that when they get older and they can still ride roller coasters like they did when they were 20.
I wish I was one of those people.
Most people aren't like that, and the people that are, I'm like, wow. Like
I'm in awe. Yeah,
I'm in awe of them, and I think I wish that I could be like that.
Me too.
Like maybe not go on it 10 times, but at least like 3 or 4 times. Like those days, those 3 times of riding Expedition Everest on a trip. I'm about 10 years beyond that, probably.
Me too. I'm probably 10 or 15 years. When Everest first opened, I went on it, I think 3 times in a row. I did once with my sister, and she was like, yeah, I'm done. And then I did 2 more, like, walk on single rider. Yeah, there is no way, like even now I can barely do it once in a trip. Like how you do Tower of Terror is how I do Everest. If someone absolutely positively wants to go on it, I might be able to do it. I might, if I haven't eaten that day. Otherwise, I'm not going on it.
I find with Expedition Everest, I find like there's parts of it where like I can't even tell if I'm going frontwards or backwards.
I know.
And that's where it kind of messes my
brain up. And
I'm like,
especially the backward. Yeah, no, it's too much for me. Too much for me.
and I know it does go backwards and frontwards, but there's parts of it where you don't like
where you're not sure when it's dark.
You can't even when it's dark and you're going through, the spiral and you don't even know which way's up, like literally, because you don't know if you're going frontwards or backwards or whatever you're doing.
Too much for this old gal. Like there's, what I'm dreading is the time where Disney comes out with an attraction and I know instinctively that I'm too old to even try it. Like I'm dreading that day. I feel like I'm getting a bit nervous about new attractions like Tron. When I see the tracks they've made and stuff, I'm like, am I going to be able to do, I am a bit nervous that they're going to come out with something that at some point I'm just going to be like, yeah, no, I can't. Well,
as long as your ticker's good, you just give it a whirl anyways. As long as you don't fall under any of the... As long as my ticker's going. As long as you don't fall under any of the things they say on the...
Oh my gosh.
On the precautionary chart.
So it sounds like that was an excellent experience. Now, what about the rest of your trip, Carrie? It was hot. You did send me a video when you were walking through Animal Kingdom, and... my poor friend, you looked like you were melting.
And I had, that was the start of the day. So I did manage to hop to all 4 parks in I had 3 park days and I went to all of the parks. Even just for a little bit, went to Hollywood Studios to get Mickey's and Minnie's Runaway Railway, whatever it's called. Because I'd only been on it the one time with you one of the last trips. So I went to Animal Kingdom to ride the safari because whatever, let's go to all the parks and whatever. We had the Guardians Day, the Epcot Day was horrible. Like the weather, we took pictures in the morning of the ride, like the outside of the ride, and the sky was, in comparison to the rest of the day, beautiful. Like people would think that I was lying to say if they were at the park that day and I told them I took the pictures that day, you wouldn't believe me because the rest of the day was really crappy. So we didn't have really bad, it stormed on and off all day long. At the end of the day, like typhoon weather, like walking back, like the parts of where the parks are flooded, like parts of the parks are flooded, parts of the resort you're walking through, intense puddle. So that day was, we couldn't get any pictures. We're there to collect photos and to experience new stuff, but also to gather, pictures to use on social media and whatever. And that day was pretty much a bust for that. But went to Magic Kingdom. It seemed a little bit less busy than usual. Just generally, I know it's the quiet before the storm there because their long weekend is coming up, but it seemed not so busy. We had no problem using Genie. Our issue with Genie Plus was that I couldn't, early in the day, I wanted times for later. I didn't I didn't want Mickey's and Minnie's at 10 o'clock in the morning. I wanted it at 2 or 3 o'clock. So a lot of times I was holding off and waiting and then picking my lightning lane a little bit later. So
that was your issue, is that you were trying to get it for later on in the day, and it would only offer you times early in the day. Mm-hmm. It's not really flexible that way, is it? No. I was trying to remember and think back to when we used it, and you can't go on and just say I want to do something after dinner or something and get that locked in. Yeah, they should.
I guess really, it works so well at Magic Kingdom. The only thing that was Peter Pan's was a little bit later in the day earlier on, but if you really just use it to just get on any attraction and all the attractions, at the start of the day, you try to do the busier ones, obviously, try to get them in case they do sell out. But yeah, if you just use it to use it, right? I want to go on Buzz Lightyear. I'm going to see, I can get it in an hour and a half and just pick it to have it and do something else in between or whatever.
Right.
You could easily on a day like that have, use it for character meet and greets. You could easily probably do 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 of them in a day.
So you found it was well worth it.
I think so. Magic Kingdom's easy to use. And I didn't, earlier in the day, up until the early afternoon, there seemed to be lots of choices. Even some of the more popular ones, were there. Yeah, it seemed like I was impressed. Like it wasn't glitchy. Like the app worked perfecly.
Good. And were you using Wi-Fi or were you using your cellular data?
My cellular data. It worked well. Yeah, like I didn't have, like I was kind of like, I wasn't sure how it was going to work because I was kind of making assumptions that, like there would be still some glitches, but.
Well, and it was fairly new when we used it in November and December. And it's now been out. People are using it. There's more people using it. People are figuring out how to do it. So this was a better test of usability. And you say it was worth it. So you would get it again.
For sure. Yeah. Like, and maybe you don't need it for certain, you might not always need it for certain parks, days. But I think,
Well, Disney's changing that now, right? So it used to be that you could add, if you were buying a package, room, tickets, you could add Genie Plus for the length of your stay.
Yeah.
And now they're changing it where you can only add it one day at a time. Mm-hmm. So every morning, everybody's got to get up and add it if they want it, which gives you the flexibility of maybe you don't want it the day you go to Animal Kingdom. You don't think it's going to be worth it for you, or your second day at Magic Kingdom, you might not want it.
Yeah.
So this really makes you consciously think about, I'm going to get it today. I'm not going to get it.
And like there's exactly like you said, like if you're going to Magic Kingdom 3 times across your trip, you might decide on certain days that you're not going to buy it. And I guess Disney feels, and then there's not the people that are just using it because they have it.
Right. So that actually might make it a little even better.
Yeah.
Because there'll be less people using it. Because you're right, people were buying it for their whole trip and then using it just because they had it, not necessarily because they would have chosen to use it that day and buy it. Interesting. So the heat was killing you.
The heat was brutal. Like,
that's the only thing about going in the summer is, I'm happy there any time of the year, unless of course I'm sitting in the candlelight processional. But the heat in the summer, it almost feels not enjoyable.
Yeah.
Unless you're going with the idea of going from air conditioning to air conditioning, store to attraction, right? Like you're not spending a ton of time outside.
Yeah, for sure. Like generally, I don't ever, like I avoid going at that time of year. And summer. I kept thinking of my friend Carol that I go to the Pin event with, and we go every year, and it's always in August. It used to be in September, but like it's always at that time of year. And I kept thinking about, like, I kept like going, like, I think that I was there with Carol because like that's what we do. We have a car. We go from air conditioning to air conditioning to air conditioning. Yeah. We do very little in the parks. A couple of years we say, oh, let's go to Animal Kingdom. We get there for like a couple minutes. We ride the safari. We're like, we're getting out of here because it's too crazy.
Done.
But like for me, that's usually when it's that hot. Like unless I'm there for a purpose like this, like if it was something that I had to go to, that I generally just do that Pin event and we melt and we spend as little time as we can, like, outside of air conditioning. We
so you drank lots of water?
Drank lots of water and just...
But you didn't have your cooling towel.
No, I don't know where it is. I think I might have left it in your owner's locker. The more that I thought about it, I don't think I even have it here.
Yeah, you might not. Okay,
I don't have it.
Yeah, we need to make sure that you have it for when we go.
Yeah, trying to think of what else, if there was anything else that was...
We did some shopping nights, so Carrie was lovely and took me on a few virtual shopping experiences, and also a little quick look at the food court where she debated what dessert she was going to have.
Yeah.
So the debate was between a cheesecake and a cupcake, and you ended up with the cupcake. Am I right?
Oh, I did both. I had the cupcake the second day, and I had
nice.
It was more like a cheesecake, a mousse, but it was a mousse. It was more like.
And was
mousse.
It good?
It was delicious. Yeah, for sure.
See,
I'm mostly stuck with chicken fingers and
I know, and I did get lots of messages from you about how much you missed me. She had chicken fingers one day, and she sent me the picture and said, "I miss you." So I'm having your favorite meal, and then. You had my breakfast one morning because you missed me.
Yeah,
and then you were like, why do I eat oatmeal when this is so delicious? I told you. You had a bounty platter.
Yeah, those Mickey waffles are pretty tasty. Like, how do they make them so,
They're so light and fluffy and almost
delicious.
like crunchy. And yeah. So, yes, Bounty Platter is definitely a good way to start the day, isn't it?
It was a good way to start the day, for sure.
Yeah.
One of my most favorite moments is when we were chatting and I was going back to my room and I told you it was like late at night after the storm.
Yeah.
And
it was late. It was like that was a bad storm. We were on the
it was
so
I was hiding
storm.
out deciding what to get for dessert, and then when the storm let up I said I'm going to go back to my room now, and and you had told me to make sure that I watch out for alligators and crocodiles or whatever, gators, and I
Carrie,
said I said, but I don't like, what are you talking about? She's like, they're everywhere down there. Just be careful. And I said, but I'm not in Alligator Bayou. I'm in Magnolia Bend. And you said, Carrie, the gators can't read the signs to know that. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, died laughing. I was like, well, I guess she does have a point, but I really do think that I really think that from the food court at Riverside to my Magnolia Bend building, I really don't think I had to watch for gators.
You probably didn't, but I don't know why. I have always had this thing, because they always say if you're near a body of water, you're like no more than 10 feet from a gator or something. And I have looked in my thousands of trips and I don't see them. I've seen one in the little waterway at the beach club, and I saw one in Splash Mountain, and one by the boat in Magic Kingdom. But they were like babies. That's it.
So then I didn't have anything to worry about.
I know, but I always worry, like at night and it's dark, and anyway, they can't read, so they're not all just hanging out at the bayou, at the Alligator Bayou. Yes. That was good, Carrie. It sounds like it was a good trip. So then we have to tell the story coming home. So Carrie's sending me pictures and play-by-play reports.
Oh, the one thing, but my way there, one thing I didn't say when I was leaving out of Buffalo, that the president was flying into Buffalo that day, and the pilot, not the pilot, like when we got on the plane, the pilot told us we just made it out, but apparently when he lands, they like freeze, or when he's coming in, and then when he's there for a certain window, they stop all air travel. So when we were getting ready to board, the gate attendant was saying like, no jibber jabber, no dilly dallying, no lining up when you're not supposed to line up. We're going to board this plane. We're going to board this plane quickly, and we're going to get wheels up, because if we don't get wheels up, we're not going anywhere till they clear it again. And I thought that was interesting. So we got on the plane, and I'm pretty sure that when we were up in the air, the pilot came on and said, like, we really within minutes got up in time, grounded. Or else we would have been grounded until. So that was interesting. But on the way home, you had
a doozy.
I had a doozy of a delay because at home the day before, or the day, I don't know if it was that same day here, we had like some crazy storm system come through that like went across like 1,000 kilometers and like pretty much ate up parts of Ontario here and there from southwestern Ontario to Ottawa, like across the whole province.
It was there were tornadoes. Insane.
So that was what was happening at home. I don't know if that was the day before or earlier that day, but in Orlando,
it was that day, because I was messaging you saying, be very careful when you get home, when you land, because they're calling for a storm later in the day. And then we got it early, like it's probably like lunchtime when it came through Toronto. Mm-hmm. And it was fast, like it was like a Florida storm. You know those ones that it's beautiful and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a huge storm and then it's over? That was kind of what it was like in Toronto, but lots of other places lost power for days, trees down, tornadoes, insanity. So I was worried about you because you were in Buffalo. You had a long drive.
Yeah. I think my delay in Orlando was really like probably what happens maybe all the time at this time of the year. Like there was a storm happening, like it was later in the day, it started to thunder, lightning, whatever. And so but it was a really bad storm at that time when we were supposed to leave. Mm-hmm. And there was, the plane was delayed an hour, first of all, and then they started boarding us. So then when we got on board, we had to stay there. And I've never in my life seen a runway full of planes. Like, as far as I could see 9 of them on a runway. So the runway was full of planes and we couldn't go anywhere. And we waited and waited and waited. We were probably on the plane for at least an hour, if not more, probably more. And they like even we were driving and moving about, and then like at a point they got us in like this, like I said, the whole runway was full of planes, and we were waiting, and they were coming on saying, you know, we got to wait out the storm, we're gonna try, we're not, whatever, and like some planes were going, and then they were waiting to see what the pilots came back to say or whatever to decide if we were supposed to go, and waited and waited and waited and waited, and some went, then we waited some more, and then a few more went, and then they told us we had to wait some more. And then when we finally got up in the air, like there was no turbulence at all, like on that front end of the flight, like nothing at all. Like we could see lightning like crazy. Like it was kind of incredible to be up on the plane and see all that crazy lightning. But like once we got up, like I was worried about like maybe feeling sick and that, you know, being in turbulence where like the plane kind of drops and whatever. And there was not anything at all, like smooth sailing until we got close to Buffalo. And then when we got close to Buffalo, like that last hour, they pretty much said we weren't allowed to move about too much. And it was kind of rumbly and tumbly and whatever till we landed. But I was supposed to land at 10:15 originally. And I landed, probably around 1:30. I was at the border. I crossed, at the border, told the border guard about my lovely return to Hobby Lobby. No joke. She was asking me like how much she was asking me like what I'm bringing back, and like, and I said, well, I shopped here and I shopped there and I shopped at Disney. And then she's like, but what do you bring back? I'm like, you want to know what I bring back? She's like, no, just the amount. And so I told her the amount. But then I told her the same thing. I'm like, you wouldn't believe how amazing my return to Hobby Lobby was. And she was like laughing. She's like, welcome home. But anyway, so I didn't get home until 4:00 in the morning because from the border, it was a little foggy, so I was driving a little slower. But from like,
but it was like 2 a.m. You were
from the border to my house at that time of night was a 2-hour drive, so I didn't go home till 4:00 in the morning.
Well, at least there wasn't really a ton of traffic at that time in the morning. Although you did say there were a lot of cars on the road when you're coming through Toronto. Yeah,
I wanted to come home Saturday night because you know it's nice to you get caught up and you think it would be nice to stay a couple more days, or even another day, but it's a long weekend here. So the highway today will be nutty, and I didn't want to deal with that. And even yesterday would have been busy. So I wanted to come home Saturday night, but I didn't think I'd be.
See that is my issue with flying out of Buffalo. Like I have no problem driving to Buffalo to fly out because you're going on vacation, and the drive on the way, like the travel on the way to vacation is always good because you're excited. You're going somewhere. It's fun. But when that vacation ends, I just want to be home. Like, if I know Saturday morning my vacation is over, I'm getting on a plane, I can think of nothing else but being in my house. Like, I have a friend I used to travel with, and she was like, oh my gosh, I just wish I could click my heels and be home and just skip this whole part. So for me, when I'm coming home from vacation, I want the fastest route to get me from my Walt Disney World Resort to my front door. And if that means I'm taking a taxi instead of the Magical Express or whatever it was or what they've got now, I'm taking a taxi to get to Orlando Airport. When I get out at Toronto Airport, I'm taking a taxi so I don't have to worry about going to find my car or whatever. It's just, how can I get there the fastest? And Buffalo is just too low. It's like,
it is a bit of a drive.
2 hours,
like I think
after you've done all the plane and blah. Although there is an argument for right now because of the disaster that is Toronto Airport, I would probably spend the same 2 hours trying to get off the plane in Toronto because they hold you on the tarmac for a good 45 minutes before they start letting people out 10 at a time, and then you got to stand in the whole customs line for even with my Nexus. In August and I think in November, I stood in line for probably an hour with my Nexus.
Yeah, and usually we would be as quick as we are in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Well, I think the way to fix that is that we just have to get you liking cross-border shopping so that you land the plane, you do a little shopping, you maybe go get some dinner, and then you drive home. Like, again, maybe. I think it's all about, like, the timing.
Making it a whole like a whole event as part of the vacation.
If my flight would have landed when it was supposed to land at 10 o'clock, 10:30, and I got through quickly and I drove home, I would have been home by midnight. Like, that's the thing. I think there's that situation where, like, you make sure that your flight home, you time it so that you have the easiest drive home. Or, like I said, it's all about having the right amount of time. Like, people always ask me about flying out of Buffalo. I heard it's cheaper. I heard it's better. And I say the experience is very easy. But if it's going to stress you out or you can't have the time, like, either do a park and fly on either end or both. Like, go the date before or stay when you get home, do some shopping, fill up the trunk with stuff, go to Target, have dinner with your favorite American restaurant, and then go home and don't, like, as long as you can make it where it's stress free. Like, if it's going to stress you out, then it's probably not a good idea. And it's not necessary. Like, sure, there is still some $99 flights you can get from Southwest or whatever, but it's not as cheap as it used to be with our dollar and just the flight prices not being the same. So you might not be doing it for savings. But it is for a certain experience, like to that air. Like, if people are anxious about going to Toronto or they hate Toronto, it can't be any farther from that experience. Like, it's total opposite experience.
I can't even think. For me, I always fly out of Toronto, so to me that's just what airports are like. It's crazy. Well, we'll see how I do on the cross-border shopping, because apparently we're doing some of that when we go to Dayton, which is only in a couple of weeks. And I hope everybody's listening. And we are going to do some recording from Dayton.
We're going to give it a whirl.
We're actually going to record some maybe in the car. We're going to, like, on location recording. Could be fun, Carrie.
It'll be awesome.
It'll be awesome. Yeah.
I'm excited to continue I'm excited to return to Dayton after a number of years when I was unable to go. And I'm very much excited about my return to some cross-border shopping. Because I was like, I'm going to get to go shopping again in a couple more weeks. That's the only way I pulled myself away from Hobby Lobby.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'll be filling you all in on what it's really like to cross-border shop with Carrie after our trip to Dayton.
You're not going to like it because I like a lot of craft stores, and you're going to be like, oh.
We'll see how it goes. Carrie, thank you for sharing your experience attending a social media event for Pure Magic Vacations.
It's all good.
And yeah, I can't wait till we can get to Florida together and do Guardians of the Galaxy together. Yay. All right, Carrie. Yeah. You're home now.
I am home.
And I'm waiting with bated breath to hear what your pixie dust would be.
Well, I think after that exciting trip, I think my pixie dust might be I was thinking of something, maybe a little bit more grounding and boring for my pixie dust.
Okay. Well, your pixie dust is supposed to bring you joy, so boring joy?
Well, I could say, some of the stuff I bought at Disneyland, but I'm not, or Disney World, excuse me, but I'm not going to say that. I think coming home from being away, I today got delivery of my HelloFresh box, which it's the meal kit boxes. So I usually don't, I usually like Good Food. That's the one I prefer, actually. Sorry, HelloFresh. But when I unsubscribe from HelloFresh, like usually like a couple months later, they send me like awesome coupons. So they again sent me awesome coupons. So then I signed up to get 4 weeks at a very discounted rate. And then I was kind of forgot about it. And then I was outside letting the cats air out this morning. And lo and behold, a van pulls up in front of my house and the lady brings out my HelloFresh box. And I'm like,
nice.
This is perfect. This is exactly what I need this week is my meals to be taken care of. So I just have to chop
eat
and
them.
cook. So
nice.
That's my pixie dust for today. And hopefully the meals are delicious, which I know they are because they usually are. That'll bring me pixie dust all week.
Good stuff.
How about you? What's your pixie dust?
Excellent. Well, I feel like I have an abundance of pixie dust this week.
Wow.
So first, while you were away, my friend and your friend, he's been on the podcast before, Dustin from Steps to Magic. He messaged me and said, when you're in the office and you're downtown Toronto, let me know. We'll meet for coffee. So I had to go into the office, met for coffee, and he brought me a mug back from Walt Disney World. He's like, I was, while we were there, him and Jill were looking, and they thought I needed a new mug. So they brought me a mug from Walt Disney World. So yay, that was so nice.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Dustin. And then...
Wait a minute, are you sure do you really want to do double pixie dust?
Yeah, I really want to do double pixie dust. Because I did this a couple weeks ago, and
it
bit you in the butt, didn't it? But how can I not share that my BFF came home from Walt Disney World with a bag of stuff for me? So you came in yesterday and brought...
I insisted because you were like...
You insisted.
I
was like, oh my gosh, I'm a mess, blah, blah, blah. She's like, no, I'm coming. And I'm like, all right. Carrie had like a bag of stuff for me. I can't even tell you.
Some of it was from the last trip.
That's how many times Carrie's been away without me. But, you brought me like the treats, the popcorn bucket, and the fantastic ears that we're going to wear to Dayton. I can't wait. The electrical parade ear, and the best salt and pepper shakers I have ever seen. And I'm going to post pictures of them online, in their Haunted Mansion tombstones. They're not going to be used as salt and pepper shakers. They're display items for sure. But it's just, it was like, I was so overwhelmed. Carrie, thank you so much. You have no idea, the joy it brought me. And I was just so excited.
Well,
thank you.
You needed some theme park joy, and I didn't want to wait until we went to Dayton. I wanted you to have it soon. I wanted you to have it to get you through the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
You need some merch. You can see it online, but you needed some merch in your hands.
I needed it in my hands, and it was just, I was so, I was blown away. So thank you. And by the way, so you brought me back the treats, the snack mix,
Yep.
that I love, the spicy snack. Yeah, so I ate one of the bags last night. I couldn't stop. As soon as you left,
I told you to ration that.
I'll watch a little TV, and then I'm like, oh, I have that snack. And then before I knew it, boom, they were gone. It was so good. It was so good.
Oh,
so thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. You're welcome.
Oh, Carrie, this has been so much fun. Now, I want to give everybody a sneak peek for next week, because normally you and I read our reviews as soon as we get them. We read them on the podcast. Mm-hmm. We have a new review but we're not reading it because we're reading it when we do the next episode that is about being Canadian Disney fans, because this review references our Canadian accents, and we're going to read it on that one. So that's coming up next. That'll be next week's podcast. So we're very excited. And encourage everyone to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts if you can.
It might even inspire an episode.
It just might, eh? Right, I'll see you next week, Carrie.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.